Well, I agree. I mean, who can disagree? I mean, if it's something which is in the law, then people are more likely, to respect it. And I'm choosing my words carefully. Because we've known of situations where things are stated in black and white in law, and yet, people have subverted, those provisions of the law and so on. But it's better if it's enshrined in law. That's one part. Now, Randy, you're talking about mandate, okay? The president is still the president and so on. But you see, common sense should teach us, just common sense should teach us, that the mandate of the president is not as it was 1 year ago. It has been substantially weakened. You understand? Yes, the president has the mandate, but you cannot ignore the fact that the people of Ghana have overwhelmingly voted against the government over which he presided. Clear. So that's a weakening of the mandate, and that ought to be taken into account. We have to wait up to January 7th because of some concerns about a smooth transition. Smooth transition. We don't want disorder and so on. That's why we come up with all these arrangements in order to ensure a smooth transition. But effectively, the people of Ghana have withdrawn their mandate. The votes speak loudly. Okay, so to pretend that that mandate is intact and can be exercised on all things and so on is really to ignore the results of the elections. The results of the elections should amount to a substantial weakening of that mandate.
Because, Kwesi, if you take what's happened in Parliament on Monday, for example, because the law is clear as to how government can borrow money, the processes and all that, the intent of the government side was clear. We want to take this loan. We want to do this. We want to do these waivers. We want to do that. The other side, the minority, says that no way. We do not think that it is proper for you to do all these things and bequeath them to the new administration. So we will not. To the extent that you want to do about $500 million in your 3 weeks to go, we will not agree. They are saying so because the law provides them that opportunity or power authority to say that we don't agree, to say that we will not be a part of it, to say that we will not vote for it. But for that, I am sure that the government would have just gone ahead and done what they want to do because they believe, or not that they believe, they still are in power.
Yeah. Randy, I'm saying that, look, legislation as a means of firming up transitional arrangements is in the right direction, and nobody can oppose that. Nobody who wants a law-governed transition, smooth transition, can oppose that, and I cannot oppose that. But I'm saying that in addition to that, just common sense should teach us that mandates of government are substantially reduced after they have lost elections, especially as heavily as they have lost now.
But have we not demonstrated in the last 32 years that there clearly is a serious deficit with respect to the application of common sense when it comes to discretionary power?
That is why I agree that legislation may be the way out. Okay, that's why I agree that legislation may be the way out. But I'm saying that for those who are insisting that while the president is still the president, to be the president until 7th January and so on, they are ignoring the reality that the president's mandate is not what it used to be 12 months ago. That mandate has been dented substantially by the results of the elections. You understand? And I think that we've got to take account of that. Now, there are ways in which the outgoing government can create difficulties for the incoming administration. Set traps and create conditions which will make the new administration tumble. And that is not in the national interest. I recall that in 2008-2009, Mills administration, you remember, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission actually agreed on some things in the last minute, which became an albatross around
single spine.
Yeah, single spine salary. Became an albatross around the Mills administration's neck. So you can do things now, with 1 or 2 weeks to go, you can still do things which will make the incoming administration trip. And I don't think that it is fair. It is not fair. Why would you increase the wage bill now, at a time when we are struggling to find resources to pay public sector wages? Why would you do that? Why would you pile on bills for the new administration to pay at a time when we can't find 18 million, which will lead to the release of
WASI results
and so on? Why would you do that? Okay, so I think that if there is sufficient goodwill, it should be common sense, for the people in government now to stop doing some of the things that they are doing, especially when in the past they took very strong positions on this matter. And I recall Mr. Osafo-Mafo's statement about recruitment, during this period and so on. It was an emphatic statement. And he actually made the point that when his administration took power on the 7th of January, it would retrench those who had been engaged and so on. Why do you do it now? Why do you do it now?
Chief, yes.
The solution is what you have just proposed. That's the solution. Until that, this thing will keep reoccurring. The same Felix Kwesi who has signed this beautiful letter. When there are videos of him justifying some of the acts that the NDC did in 2016 when they lost the election. He was justifying, just as you are saying, Dr. Osafo-Mafo, the same. Yes. I mean, Randy, this is just common sense. Obviously, if a contractor has worked 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and is receiving payment now, that is no problem. But it's a little bit absurd if you want to sign a contract for a new contractor today, that you are trying to push something to the neck of...
Even the payment is problematic.
No.
Even the payment is if the contractor worked 2 years ago, why do you wait until 7 days on your entity office to work?
If he has worked...
So for example, in 2016, the then president-elect side, led by Mr. Osafo-Mafo, their position was that if those payments are emergency in nature, run it by us. That was their position.
Let us agree.
Run it by us. So it's significant, but I think that is emergency in nature. Run it by us. Let us both agree that, look, this has to be done. In the interest of the country. Then it's done. Don't do it on our blind side.
Which is what Felix is
yes.
But the information minister is also saying something.
Yes, I mean, Felix, the first statement issued by the president-elect side gave the impression that, look, there has been an agreement, just like 2016, that all these things will be run by the joint transition team. The president's side says, no, we didn't reach any such agreement. Now, yesterday, the president-elect side comes to say, refer to an agreement again, and say that we see you are breaching it. So we are serving notice that we will reverse all that and perhaps hold people responsible.
Because for the recruitment to the security services, there was previous communication about that even before the elections. So Randy, I get your point. But Uncle Kwesi's point about the president's mandates being reduced.
Devalued.
Kwesi, whether it's devalued or not, he is still the president. His mandate ends at midnight on the 6th of January 2025.
No dispute.
Absolutely. So he has the right to do whatever he's doing now with the mandate that's been given to him by the Ghanaian people. It has not diminished. That power is still there, intact. Just as Mr. Mahama lost in 2016 by almost 1 million votes. But he was given appointments. Even at 24 hours, 48 hours to his exit, he was given appointments. That was his mandate. The law allowed him to do so. I don't think anybody would have argued that his mandate had devalued. On the basis of that, he cannot give appointments.
No, you argued that.
No.
Your party argued that.
Kwesi,
when Osafo-Mafo made the claim that those decisions will be reversed, what was he saying?
So in order not for
so you argument, made that argument.
In order not for this, that's what Randy is proposing. In order not for us to come back to this same counter argument, put it in a law. Let's enact a law to say if one loses an election, that person does not have that mandate to be doing some certain things. Put it in the law. Or during the transition period, certain things cannot be done. If that is there, then everybody is okay with it. But apart from that, Randy, we'll keep coming back to this same.
But because
for me,
I thought that the very essence of a joint transition team is, first of all, it's hinged on the smooth transfer of power. But in terms of a smooth transfer of power, that is where people get to know what is in the books. People get to know what they are getting into.
Yes.
It is where the beginning of accountability
Absolutely.
and access to information starts. It must also be about any decision that can have an effect or impact. As far as the joint transition is being put in place, any such major decision ought to come to the knowledge.
But that's common sense, Randy.
Yes.
That should be something that we should all agree to. I mean, if Mr. Mahama is coming on the 7th, if they're going to take a major decision now that will affect the incoming government, it's just fair that you have a discussion with him or his team. So they know. I'm sure by now he has a finance team that is also projecting. They have to put together a budget, Randy. They have to put together a budget. Can you imagine now today if the president announced 30% increase in salary? Who's going to pay those salaries?
Yeah.
You get the point I'm making.
But extension.
Who's going to pay that?
By extension.
Mahama. Because His Excellency.
By extension,
so
you're saying that the president can do that.
Yeah, he has the mandate. But I'm saying that
You're saying that he can do that.
He has the mandate.
Let's refresh our memories with this letter again. The 17 December 2016 letter addressed to the Chief of Staff, Office of the President, Republic of Ghana, Flagstaff House. Attention, Julius Debra. Dear Mr. Debra, decision of the co-chairs of the Presidential Transition Team to suspend the recruitment of the government statistician, senior staff of the Economic and Organized Crimes Office, YOCO, and senior staff of other MDAs. So this was the transition, saying that, look, the government was going to appoint a government statistician. He believed that although the president had the right, it was not proper for an outgoing president to appoint a government statistician. It was not right for the outgoing president to appoint senior staff of YOCO and senior staff of other MDAs. This was the position. I say is that the right to confirm our agreement reached on the above subject matter per our telephone conversation of December 17, 2016, which took place within the hour of 17 hours GMT as follows. 1. The current rush to recruit personnel at various MDAs appears improper and must be discontinued. It is agreed that positions such as the government statistician, senior staff personnel of YOCO, are highly critical and must only be carried out with the explicit consent of the transition team of the president-elect. It is mutually agreed that the recruitment of the government statistician and senior staff of YOCO and other MDAs shall therefore be suspended by the government. Considering the short duration of the transition period, we trust that any emergencies that may arise regarding the need for recruitment shall be considered on a case-by-case basis and with the explicit consent of the transition team of the president-elect, counting on your cooperation.
And what was the counter-argument by the NDC at that time?
Engineer Yao Safuma, representative of the president-elect and co-chair 2016 transition
Good
team.
point, but what was the argument then by the then outgoing government?
Yes, they agree.
Yes.
No, but I'm saying that.
Yes.
No, I'm saying that. So about principles. So if in 2016, when you had won election and you were coming into power, you believe that this is what should have happened, this is what is right, what happened to that principle?
So what happened to the principle of the other party too?
Yes.
That's the point. So
Yes.
I agree with you.
Yes.
That the way to cure...
Honorable.
No.
Honorable, there's a big problem
There's
here.
no problem, Uncle.
There's a
Listen,
problem.
Uncle, I'm coming.
You are principled.
I'm
coming.
Because somebody else is unprincipled,
I'm coming.
then
So
you
the
let
point
it
is
be
that if you
unprincipled.
disagree with
Is that
this
what you're
position,
saying?
continue.
If the then government
Disagree
with this position,
They should continue with that position.
why are they making? Why is Felix writing this letter now? Has their principle changed?
And has your principle
That's the
changed?
point I'm making. So I'm not for it. I think common sense should prevail. But in order for all of us to be on the same page, I agree with Randy's proposal. Put it in law so that nobody can be discretionary in times like this. That's my position on this matter.